Hello, everyone. We will be starting in next 2 minutes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Before I start, am I audible? If anybody can just let me know.
Yeah, you are audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So hello all, myself Ekta Dubey, and on behalf of the Analytics team and our present partner Xoxo Day, we welcome you all and thank you for being part of a roundtable winning with gamification in BFSI. Before we start the roundtable, there are a few guidelines that I would like to highlight and make you people aware of. Requesting all our participants to be on mute when any one of them are sharing their insights. Once we open the floor for the discussion, there are a few guidelines that we need to follow. You need to raise your hands, unmute yourself on your video, introduce yourself, your name, company, your profile, and ask a question or share your insights. So as I said, yes. So as I said, I would request everybody to be on mute. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So to start with, I would like to introduce our presenting partner, Xoxo Day. Xoxo Day helps business leaders and HR make a business impact by optimizing the spends on rewards, incentives, benefit engagement. The gamified SaaS tool helps engage customers, channel partners, sales team, and employees via three dimensions: motivation, alignment, empowerment, and well-being. Xoxo Day offers business software products to solve problems around employee rewards and recognition, channel sales incentives, and consumer promotion, helping build a winning workplace culture. Before we directly move on to a keynote session, I would like to give you a gist of the roundtable that we are here for. So as all we know, the BFSI industry is regularly subjected to a flood of new themes and buzzy terms. Banks and financial institutions are aggressively using new concepts and technology to stay abreast and engage customers in their products and services. So in their quest to redefine and extend the role they play in their customers' life, many banks have turned to gamification, which has the potential to transform the procedural act of banking into an experience much more in line with today's consumer preferences. This roundtable will be focused on what are the key elements of gamification and how it can be used today as a successful strategy by prioritizing its framework from ideation to implementation, thereby enhancing the sales. The sessions will equip you with how gamification can drive real business results in BFSI. And today we have many senior leaders from the BFSI industry who are going to share their insights on this interesting subject. So to kickstart with our keynote session, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Abhishek Kumar, Chief Technology Officer, Xoxo Day.
Thank you,
Abhishek,
Ekta.
yes. Abhishek is an IITB alumni and a serial entrepreneur. He is a founding member of Xoxo Day. He has created various solutions in the field of FMCG, rewards tech, and healthcare. He has built numerous healthcare systems which has been successfully used in the field of telemedicine. Currently, Abhishek is focusing on rewards and incentive industry and solving a key challenge of engagement and motivation in incentive sectors. Abhishek is going to share his strategic insights on gamification as a useful acquisition strategy in banking to enhance sales. Over to you, Abhishek. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ekta, and thank you for a wonderful introduction. A quick note about Xoxo Day before I start my presentation. So, we have been there for last 8 years, and we started with a gifting platform, but soon we model ourselves into a R&R reward and recognition platform, right? And the core of it, of course, is the huge catalog that we have that is there, where the points can be redeemed across the world globally. In fact, we are present in more than 100 countries in terms of redemption options, right? So any company that tie up with us for their R&R or incentive gamification solutions, and they get a plethora of option to for the redemption portal as well, right? So we developed three product, one for employees, which we called Impulse, which is employee engagement, one for your consumers, which we call Plum, which is again as a consumer loyalty solution or a customer loyalty solution. And then a third bit, which is the newest to our kitty, is the Compass, and which is what is on the principles of what I would be talking most today. It's a gamification, incentive gamification, but effectively it's a gamification in BFSI segment that we have picked up eventually, and I would be sharing my learnings in the journey, right? So I'll share my screen, and I'll start with basics of course, gamification. So what gamification is, a very short note on that. I'm sure most of the leaders present over here would now know, so much about gamification, because this has been talked about. This has been there in the industry globally, and also India has started adopting this, at least in banking and insurance industry, right? BFSI, and people are really very enthusiastic about this approach that they have taken. And one such approach we have taken, and we have started providing the solution that we have built in the form of SDK, in the form of app, in the form of API integration to the customers, so that they can use our gamification learning, they can use our engine for their employees and for their customers directly, right? So I'll just share my screen. Ikta, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So welcome all. So with a quick note, I'll start with what gamification is, and we will quickly look into what it means to apply gamification in BFSI segment. What are some of the examples that some of the people in the industry have used, and what are some? Sorry, was there a question? Hello.
I would request everybody to please be on mute when the speaker are taking the session. It would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you all. So yeah, so we would also talk about some of the examples globally that people have used, and how India is adopting those examples in Indian context, and where they are using, right? And also a very a small snapshot of what we are doing at the very end of it, right? So to start with, what is gamification basically, right? And gamification is not a new concept. Gamification has been there in the industry for decades, right? We have seen how game mechanics and game dynamics can be used across the industry, and some of the players in the BFSI segment have been using it globally. it's just about time that Indian players start, or Indian companies start using this in the context now, right? So it's all about building, applying game mechanics and dynamics into the real world scenario. It's not really about building a game, building a things or that, but it could be very simple. It could be like a badge, a reward for some activity or something, right? The overall agenda for gamification would be primarily distributed into two activities, right? One would be improving a process, the other would be changing the behavior of your employees or a consumer, right? So and these would be the two important aspects that you will be looking at while you are building a game plan to automate a process or to change the behavior of your consumers, customers, or employees, right? Right now, what we have done is, just to explain a bit about gamification, and I'll just quickly cover this because I understand all of us want to get into how we have done it and what are really game dynamics, game mechanics that can be used, right? So, just to tell you, like, so broadly, you can divide the entire gamification uh, board into three high level stuff. For example, one is high level conceptual goal, then basic process, and then specific mechanisms, right? So dynamics defines that as what do you really want to achieve, right? Is it extrinsic motivation or it is an intrinsic motivation? Now I'll talk a bit about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, because these two factors are very, very important when you apply a game mechanics or game dynamics to your processes, right? So these now this is a part of what really do you want, right? Now the mechanics is how do you want it, like what are the things that you're going to implement to get this. So this could be like spread across challenges, competition, leaderboard, scorecard, uh, rewards, the lot of things, right? And the last bit is component, like what is the outcome of these I mean dynamics and mechanics that you have applied, right? So these can be in terms of leaderboard, labels, points which could be redeemed, badges. It could be also your buckets. For example, it could be silver bucket, gold bucket, or platinum bucket, things like those. So you can bucket people based on their behaviors, based on their based on certain parameter that you want to see people moving, and then you can reward them accordingly, which they can again redeem, right? So this creates definitely a good kind of motivation to the consumers and to the employees to stick with you and to stick with your brand, right? To just give you a brief about what really I'm talking about in terms of extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, right? So extrinsic motivation is the are the motivation levels where you get reward which make you continue performing the action again and again. So these are really materialistic, you can say, which means that you get something substantial. You get points, you get badges, you get leaderboards to see. So you get a competitive aspect into it, right? So you can look at the badges, and then you can also get points related to badges. The points could be simple also for certain activities like filling a form, or like giving some data point for yourself, or for example your health data, or your lifestyle behavior, or anything that could be part of the process which a bank decide, right? The intrinsic is more related to your internal satisfaction. For example, a pat on the back, right? A pat on the back for an employee in a group, right? So basically, you definitely, what you do today is, you do a group mail and you celebrate the achievements of the people. You say that, hey, this guy has done a good job, right? And most often we see that some of the people have already started using some of the employee engagement tools to do that. So these kind of things which increases the satisfaction of people, which increases the engagement between the people, these come as intrinsic motivation. So they actually create autonomy, mastery, purpose, relatedness to the brand, things like these, right? So these are the two basic motivation outcomes that you would want. And based on the kind of process, the based of kind of for example, if you want a performance, right, you would definitely focus on extrinsic motivation. But if you want engagement, you would focus more on intrinsic motivation to increase, right? So that is how you can divide your entire plan of the gamification based on what is the outcome that you want, right? It's very important for you to understand the outcome that you want to achieve out of using these game techniques, right? uh, and the big question is, can gamification really impact sales in BFI industry? The question is definitely yes, and we have seen some of the studies that shows that if you apply a right kind of platform, right kind of digitized program, right? And most of the digitization that is happening today, right, they have some or other of a gamification aspect to it, right? So even for example, if you talk about a bank launching its app just to onboard a customer, right? Or a kiosk to onboard a customer, that's also a part of gamification, where you get entire thing, a lot of things can be pulled in through your social data, like your Facebook, or some app that you're using, that you can link to the system, and other things that can get filled with some other gamification aspect, right? So the already people have started using. We have seen that that the chances that you can get higher sales are better, right? So you get a 30% higher sales. This is an average on a sample size of 1,000, right? You get a 21% higher profitability if you do it in terms of employee engagement, and you apply right product to engage them. You have a good opportunity to reduce the absenteeism, and reduce the churn rate, right? The employee churn, especially on the sales side cycle and the customer facing roles, right? The churn rates are pretty high, right? So you, if you engage with them with the right techniques, you have an effective way of reducing the churn over there, right? These are the some of the out of the box outcomes that you would really aim for. But there are finer details that you can aim for, finer KPIs that you can define, and then trace back, like what are the parameters that you want to link to those KPI, and put those parameters in the game board, and invite people to use it, so that you are able to achieve that KPI, right? Now when we looked at the entire uh, you know gamut, we divide this across the processes, and we saw that entire process, be it inside or outside, right, can have some or other gamification aspect, right? So what we did was, we for employees, and you can say that these are the internal stakeholders, for example, the regional managers, the CBMs, the branch managers of a bank, right? The sales teams which are on the field, the agent advisor for the insurance industry, right? These are also your indirect sales people, right? If not direct, then but they also come as an internal stakeholder. The external stakeholders are, of course, your customers directly, right? So those could be prospects, or those could be people who are already there with you, both in insurance industry, banking industry. So we, what we did was, we divided this entire flow into gamut, where you can divide your target segment as internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, right? And to gamification to succeed, right, you have to look at both the stakeholders, right? You cannot simply, one way is, you can say that I'll start with external stakeholder, and then we will start with internal stakeholder. But that's a debate that we can definitely do, which is important, or should we do both together, right? What we also focus mostly on is internal stakeholder, where we try to improve the engagement, the performance of the people, which is indirectly related to the sales of the brand, right? So if you look at on the right hand side, what we have tried to do is, we have tried to each segment we have tried to bifurcate and say that where all you can do a process automation using gamification techniques, and where all you can do a behavior change for the people, to drive engagement, to drive a better performance, right? Now, if we talk specifically about the people, the internal stakeholders, right? What are some of the things, some of the game techniques that you can implement to really keep them engaged and keep them motivated about their mundane job that they're doing, the regular work that they're doing, right? So some of the items that we have used, some of the items that we have seen in the industry that are getting used, that is, one is real-time tracking of sales information. So can you really show them where do they stand vis-a-vis their target, and this is specifically about salespeople, regional managers, or CBMs, right? On a real-time basis, right? And can you motivate them? Can you push them to reach their goals in a specific time, right? Can you reward them for doing that, right? And that could be external aspect, right? So if you plug in your system with your CRMs, where you are collecting the sales information, and the moment your CRM hits a number, hits a lead, right, or gets a lead gets converted, right, it pushes the information to your gaming template, where the people are able to see it on a board. They can be present in a leaderboard, they can be seen on a race, vis-a-vis other player in the industry, and they could see where do they stand, right? And the and your game technique has to be enough, has to create enough nudges for the people to understand that, they don't have to do the calculation in their mind themselves, but the product has to do it for them, right? So these game techniques can also make their life a lot more easier, and let them focus on what they have to do, rather than also focus on the outcome of their activities, right? So today, if you look at it, I mean, 15% of their daily task, almost 15 to 20% of their daily task goes into calculation, understanding, visualizing where am I going, what am I going to achieve in terms of incentives, in terms of my target achievement by end of this month by doing these activities, right? And we have seen that, people have been informing them on WhatsApp. There are groups where you do, but those things are very cumbersome processes, because what you do is you pull out the reports from a BI tools, you create a nice newsletter, and weekly you send it, right? But then what if there is a tool which can do it on a real-time basis then and there, right? Which can promote them, which can push them to do better sales, to be a better informed person, right? And this can be done also again by putting all those information on a leaderboard and scorecards, just to understand vis-a-vis where they are with respect to other people, right? Not only that, if you have any important product that you have launched, or any important product information that has to be shared, right? And normally what happens is you give the handouts, you give the video, circulate it, but for the people to read it, for the people to view the videos, right? They either plan to do it in their free time, maybe on the weekends, or they either, or the other part is, most often they ignore it, right? Some manager does the orientation of the product, and that is how it happens, right? What if your game techniques involve them to, or reward them to viewing your product videos, right? Or you can quiz them on the product, new product launches, where you can say that, for every right answers X% or Y%, you can decide, you will reward them, will give them badges, and then these people will get promoted with respect to this, right? So you can also give incentives for issuing policies faster, for resolving customer issues, for looking into updating customer data more frequently, right? So these are the activities which are really boring in nature, but what if you can get money to do that, or you can get you can earn badges, earn points, or earn cash to do that, extra cash to do that, right? Who will not be excited, who will not be motivated to do it, right? And these are some of the techniques that we're talking about. This is very simple. It's just that the data points, the systems have not been there in place to make this possible. But now I think with emergence, with solutions like Compass that we have, it's quite possible to do it, right? Now we can also do rewards for providing reports on time, or you can do a compliance stickiness with the employees, right? So they can stick to compliance, and then you can reward them with badges, the champion, the superstar, or whatever. And then there are specific people, they would like to be part of, and they like things like Star Wars, or some gaming template. You can name them, brand them, you can give them such coins, you can give them some badges which elevate their intrinsic motivation, right? On top of it, you can definitely give them a transactional behavior nudge, so which is like, if they are able to, how far are they from their target, how far behind they are from their targets. You can nudge them based on that, and you can keep them informed all the time, right? So that they don't have to really look into the systems all the time, and they're informed, they take the informed decision everywhere, right? So, and we looked at it, and we said that an ideal solution would be a solution which can actually integrate with multiple data sources. So we also understand that, this gamification cannot simply be just on the lead, or on the presence, or on the number of customers called, things like those. It could be based on multiple parameters, right? So system is required which can integrate data from these multiple systems, and then bring the data on one single platform, from where you can then build your gaming programs, right? Now using these programs, you can you can display the people, the employees, in the scorecards. You can create the game templates, you can create the gamified nudges, and you can socialize with the team, right? And these are also very good and effective way to create analytics and insights in a way that you can create simulation which will help you to understand what are the better ways of improving the performance, or making a sales over there, right? And at the end of it, of course, if you're able to provide a complete payout of whatever points they want, nothing like it, right? So a solution which can bridge entire thing and knit entire processes together, I feel that's an ideal solution, and that is where we have been working mostly, right? We also looked at, so this was from a whatever I said from an internal stakeholder point of view, from an employee point of view. We also looked at what are the gamification techniques that could be used for customer engagement, right? And we looked at specific examples into insurance industry, into banking industry, and similar industry, and we classified them into something, right? So can you reward people, for example? Can you reward a customer for sharing his lifestyle and behavior data? For example, insurance industry uses, globally at least, the use of telematics, right? Where it is used in auto insurance to understand is he a reckless driver or is a good driver, right? In which you can reduce or increase the premium. You can give certain discount to the consumer on then and there by understanding his behavior, right? So you understand that if a driver is a good driver, then most probably he will not be coming for a claim, because he will not get the chances of him doing an accident or getting claiming an insurance for the same would be lower, right? So you definitely want to promote such kind of behavior, so that and if you are able to give a little lesser discount for those people, nothing like it, right? So similar goes into health industry, right? So if you're able to integrate with variables and collect the health information and then promote them healthy behavior, right? You can say that if a healthy guy would get better rates in terms of a better discount on the policies and things like those, right? So the chances that you get benefited is pretty higher with a healthy person in terms of insurance I'm talking about, right? So you can reward a customer for that also. Now you can also reward, and the loyalty programs that are there, right? Those are based on the longevity and the loyalty of a customer, right? So it need not be on a monthly or a yearly basis. It can be on a continuous basis, right? So when I say continuous, so you have to have the touch points all the point of time with the consumers, right? You cannot be disengaged and then just engage once a year or twice a year. So that doesn't really work in today's scenario, right? You have to be continuously engaged with the customer. So how do you reward the customer for their longevity and loyalty, right? Now at the same time, and we can understand that with uh, the age of the customer with you, right? You have definitely different options that you keep releasing, different products that you keep releasing. So can you create a game template? Can you create a game plan where you can take through the life cycle of the journey of the person, and tell that at each journey you could probably buy this product, and this is the benefit of this product, right? And this need not be just a mail that you send. This can be an app where people are engaged with you, and then they are able to take certain questions, they are able to play certain game and cross certain hurdles, and out of that hurdle they are able to get, okay, this is the policy for you and this is the discount that and you encourage the buying behavior over there, right? For a new product that you launch, right? You can then rate them and give them badges based on the portfolio that they maintain with you, right? So that, and that can be again be continuous. So you can promote them, demote them, or you can play around with this, right? So that this motivation, the competitiveness remain in the game, right? So these are some of the examples that are really good, which we have seen as a customer engagement in insurance segment, right? uh, a real life example, if I have to speak from global industry, right? A company in the crop insurance leverage the farm village, right, game, just to make sure that and they launch a virtual crop insurance game where they were trying to promote the crop insurance, and they're trying to tell them like how you can uh, you know uh, you take a crop insurance, but how do you take care of crops so that the insurance is, and also helping them to make sure that they're able to understand the product, they're able to get the right product for their kind of business that for the kind of farmers they are, right? So they are able to do it using the product called farm valley, right? One company called American Family Insurance, right? They created an app on the Facebook where they created an entire journey of person for buying a house and planning a career, helping them decide which insurance to purchase what point of time. So a while back, while I was talking about talking about their journey in the life, right, at each point of time, what kind of insurance or what kind of things that help them, right? This can also be, simulated, right, in a game plane, right? One company called Lolly Insurance, right? They provided a game plan where they rewarded their sales team for active on-time logging of sales data, right? This is an old way, but I think pretty effective. And now this has become almost, and you can see this idea of logging your sales data in CRM on the right time and then nudging them, almost available all the time, right? So either manually or automated way, right? But a game technique in India is still to come and is still to be widely accepted. I think people are moving, the insurance companies are moving towards that, and we have been doing with a lot of insurance companies. We can give some examples at the end. Uh, and this is something which one should adopt as soon as possible, right? One company called Direct Insurance, right? They employed telematics, right? As I said, to track the driving behavior and publish leaderboard to motivate and educate the customers, right? And it's a similar approach where they said that, if you have a right driving behavior, right, the chances of him doing an accident is lesser, and hence chances of him claiming an insurance is lesser, right? So this in fact works in your favor, right? So United Healthcare created an app that tracks and rewards daily physical activity, right? So, so basically, for the people to claim less, right? You promote a healthy lifestyle, right? So that they don't fall sick often, right? They will permit because human life, but then if you want to reduce the frequency of them claiming the insurance, you can definitely do something like this, right? Sun Life Financial launched an online platform to engage and educate young customers on retirement and investment planning with labels, challenges, and social interaction. Right. So they actually put a lot of different kind of people, different age group people together, and they brought in some challenges into that, like a hurdle kind of thing, and they let them play together and then interact with each other, and what they would be using and how they have benefited from their investment plan. The younger people would adopt the same from there, right? So which means that the younger people who really look at some investment plans like this, like a daunting task right now, they understand it pretty easily, and they also understand the benefits. So you get engaged with a customer really at young age, right? Normally a buying age in Indian scenario would be what, 30 to 40, or a very good buyer would be a 35 to 35 above, right? But what if you can bring down that age from 30 to, let's say, 25, 24, right? Why not? So you get a better chance of selling your policies, selling your products to those people, and you're increasing your portfolio in terms of sales, right? So these are all the examples how you can engage customers in the gaming using gamification, and these are the real life examples that I've picked up, right? Right. So I just summarize, like in auto health, auto home, PNC, life, these things. These are things that can be used. So I've taken it from source. We've just put it that these are the examples that could be used. I'll share this sheet so that you can go through it. Let's look at some of the customer engagement approaches in banking industry, right? As I said, can you reward higher percentage return to boost deposits, right? So basically, if let's say, can you create, rather than today that we have a blanket percentage, can you create a bracket of people? Like, for example, if you have this much of this thing, you get higher percentage. If you this much this thing, you get little higher of the thing, right? So can you really reward consumers to boost deposits in the industry, right? So this is a very good example, right? So instilling a saving habits and foster a money saving mindset through a game plan. This one specific example that could be adopted from age of kid, right? So as a matter of fact, my kid is what, 2.5 years old, reaching 3, and he likes to play Kidopia. In Kidopia, he learns a lot, right? Using games, he would put he would bath the animals, he would brush the animals. There's a lot of things that he can do, and all of Kidopia is nothing new to all of you, I'm sure, right? So can we use certain techniques like those with the customers, where you can really engage the young people from the right age, using these game techniques, and bringing some of the game mechanics over there, where this will instill within them a saving habit, depositing in bank, and creating portfolio on a bank, right? So you can really engage an entire family, not only just a kid over there, and let them play together in a virtual world, right? You can definitely use the game techniques and game mechanics to broaden the awareness of new products and services through quizzes, which can be rewarded. So you can basically reward them based on the knowledge of the product that they have. You can launch product and then video and then let them go through it, right? You can also gather data insights about current customers, and you can pay customers for this, right? So for sharing their information, because these data is going to be helpful to you and very invaluable, right? In Indian context, if people are good enough to share their health app data and their social data, I think you can reward them for the same, and then you can collect and create policies, personalized policies, personalized products for them, right? Some of the examples in gamification that I've seen. So PNC launched the Pig game, right? Which effectively they launched a virtual wallet to encourage setting and reaching saving goals, right? So what it does is it allows you to set their targets and then promotes them, motivates them to reach their targets on a specific period of time, right? Extranco bank account conversion app. So what they also tried to do was, they launched an app, mobile app with a game theory, which was used to convert their checking account to bonus accounts, right? So and then reward for the same, right? So they actually launched a lot of video quizzes and benefits vis-a-vis what they would be getting with respect to bonus accounts as compared to what checking accounts that they have, right? Emirates NBD, they integrated with the fitness, so they launched their own fitness app where they would reward the active lifestyle with higher saving rates, right? So you are able to promote and you are able to engage with them on a daily basis, on a regular basis. This is one of the ways of engaging with them on a continuous basis, right? The Combank of Australia, right? They launched a game product called Investor Valley, where they let customers simulate buying and owning a property, right? So basically they created a complete game plan where they would simulate the behavior of buying the property and owning the property and what it takes and how to take care of that, right? A very popular game in this, and they're very old game is has been a VA game, which is a game launched by Spanish Bank, which is a web application where the customers could earn points for watching the educational videos. This is also one of the ways to keep your customer engaged, right? And also let them understand simple banking transaction processes, use of app, why you should be using, and things like those. In Indian context, ICICI and SBI are doing some of the similar stuffs in this industry, and they're using a Zozo Day Compass to reinvent the journey, right? So why gamification matters, right? So of course, and as I said, and now I'm reaching towards the end of it. So Ekta, I'm sorry I've taken 5-10 minutes more, but I'll be reaching to the near of it. So why gamification matters? Because using gamification, you are able to transform the ordinary task into interesting and fun experiences, and also making sure that you are able to get these things done on time, right? You're able to strengthen your brand awareness, affinity, and penetration among the consumers, right? You're able to educate customers about your product stability, product suitability, and guide them how to purchase it, how to use it, and how to stay with it in future, right? You also are able to motivate people to act in areas such as health and wellness, safe driving, financial planning, and sustainability, which is in turn going to help you in terms of payback, you can say, right? So that is how gamification matter. And we have looked at some data and said that companies who utilize gamification, we have seen that the change in annual revenue, it's like if you compare, right, the annual revenue changed by 8.5% as compared to 4.4% of people for the companies who are not using gamification technique, right? Change in average deal size is huge. Basically, it's almost 18 times that you can see, 12 times that you can see over there, right? We've seen a change in lead closure time. We've seen a change in lead conversion rate, right? The use of gamification technique. So these are things that is going to surely help you in your sales approach, in your sales processes, right? So with this, I would like to say the future of BFSI is gamification. So whether it is buying an insurance plan or a mutual fund, transferring money or borrowing funds, banks and financial institutions are more interested in customer delight, and adding gamification may help them achieve it, right? And that's my closing statement. So The Compass, Zozo Day has launched Compass with the same approach, and this has been already getting used by a lot of insurance and banking companies. Some of them that I mentioned, Bharti, XIG, Canara, ICICI, and there are more that they are using Runner's theory and the game template to motivate and engage teams. So that's it. Thank you for the time. I think I'm open to discussion now.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Abhishek, for your interesting insights on gamification. And before we move on to the roundtable, this I would like to address that the discussion is going to happen on creating lasting connections through gamification in banking to engage customers and employees, where we can discuss like how properly designed and implemented gamification makes banking operations exciting and enjoyable, improve employee performance and productive sales, marketing, customer service, and product development. So, Abhishek, we have a few senior leaders who would like to share their insights. Like we have Ms. Priyanka Sareen, she's the head of retail product, Edelweiss General Insurance. We have Mr. Mayank Sharma, business head of Centrum Financial Services Limited. Mr. Ravi Joshi, he is the DGM Digital Banking IDBI. Mr. Subhajit Mukhopadhyay, he is the DVP IT Strategy Enterprise Architect Bandhan Bank. We have Purnima Bhushpala, Vice President Business Risk Lead, Wells Fargo. We have Dr. G. Ramesh Kumar, Chief Business Officer with Mangal Credit FinCorp, and many more. Now, these names which have taken, they would really like to highlight some interesting points or suggestions on the gamification.
Sure, sure.
So, how do we start now? You would suggest I have given the names to you. So, should I take the initiative of, or we can have start with Purnima, I guess.
Right. So I think yeah. So let's go in order in order that you said, right. So let's start with Priyanka, right. So yeah, Priyanka. So
Yes, over to you now. I'll take the
over to
names
you.
and then you take the
Yes.
discussion. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Ekta. Hi, Abhishek.
Hi, Priyanka. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. I think this has been a lot of work post-COVID because the incentive gamification has been on top of the mind of all the people. And what we have seen is industry and suddenly changing their approach, and they are willing to expose their data set now. So it's really interesting gameplay out there, and that is what we have seen.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with you to a very large extent. And I think we've had discussion with Zozo Day on some of the products. And I think Compass is gaining a lot of momentum in the market. And yes, it has caught my eye as well. Okay, so actually, couple of questions I wanted to discuss with the forum and you. One is, how do we differentiate gamification and advanced analytics and machine learning? And the second question that I am getting a little lost is when the companies, mostly people like me, ask about how do you calculate ROI on gamification? So these are the two questions I really wanted your insight on.
Right. So, just to differentiate between gamification and analytics, and this is a question that I get frequently asked most often, right? Now, if you look at analytics, right, analytics is certainly a data set required for gamification to succeed, right? So, what analytics is helping you to analyze your scenario, right? But look at the scope of analytics, right? The scope of analytics is for the people who are able to understand the data in their own way, right? And then judge what do they have to do with that analysis, right? So what is the next outcome that they want to decide on top of, right? Well, gamification is all about using the data, using that analysis and applying it into solving one of their problem statement, right? For example, let's say one analysis could be, in a product called CASA, right? As a very standard product, right? You would see that, you want to increase the number of login or number of high portfolio customers, right? But the analytics will suggest that, okay, you need to increase because you need to increase more revenue. But what will you do next, right? Analytics will definitely tell you do this, do this, do this, but it will not do it, right? Gamification is a way where it will apply those mechanics on top of that analysis and then actually do it for you. A very simple example, right? So very, very, very simple stuff that we can do, right? And a good question on ROI on gamification, right? So let's look at it this way, right? So today, a very simple example that I can give you, right? If you have to distribute data and share the data internally, I'm just talking about the employee of the sales team, right? If you have to tell them about their performance, motivate them about the performance on a weekly call, on a weekly basis, you have to deploy a couple of people, two to three people from various departments, because the data systems are different for different products, and you have to collate all the data from different in one BI system. And somebody from that person, BI expert, will pull out that data in a meaningful format, convert into a more meaningful representation, and then share it across with your sales team, right? The entire process on a monthly basis will cost you around 4 to 5 lakhs, nothing less than that, but more than that, in fact, right? Now if you're able to apply game mechanics, right, your straight benefit is in terms of number of resources that you're going to use, and number of touch points that you're going to use over there, right? That is for sure there, right? A second point that you can see on ROI would be your, and I mentioned briefly on my in my PPT, was in terms of number of leads increment, percent of revenue that you increase product wise that you're looking into. Because the way you have to use gamification is you have to have a KPI in your mind, that what really you want to move, right? Are you aiming for an engagement, or are you aiming for a certain profitability or performance or sales number, right? And then you measure that, right? Very simple, right? So
Yeah,
I think
see,
that's
that's the another challenge that I think I don't know whether everyone would agree or not, but yes, I feel it. See, right from ordering the vegetables to a maid to cleaning my house, for
right.
everything I have an app. Now,
Correct.
people don't want to download an app. They don't want to use another app, and that is specifically when we have bombarded them with applications like Slack. They have Zoom, they have Microsoft Teams, they have uh, Microsoft Suite. So anything related to Office and related to a mobile app, I don't know whether what I feel is when I talk to people is there is less adaptability to it. So if I'm not able to pull that kind of a crowd or to use that, I won't be able to give an output, because the whole thing is hinging on whether the people are going to use it or not. Yes, I agree, understand the point that there are tangible benefits out of gamification. There are intangible benefits coming out of gamification, because the essence here is that we are playing on the emotional part, the connect part with the human in the entire cycle. So I understand all of that. But the only challenge that keeps coming back to me is that, Priyanka, why do you want us to download one more app here? We don't want to download one more app, and that too related to office work. So I'm
Right.
still stuck with this kind of a dilemma.
Now, okay, very good question. I think what I have also been discussing with the people around that, right? Now, what you have seen that we definitely should not ask them to download a lot of app, even at the employee level, or at the consumer level, right? So, for example, if each bank or each insurance launches their own app, right? Consider the plight of a customer, right? So
Yeah.
this is a time where one player like Compass, right? I'm just trying to name one product. Right? It could be anything, right? Compass collate all those things in one app, right? You don't need to really download all the app, right? Also, for your employees, you really don't need to have a Compass app. So you can really work with the SDK approach, or a player who can give you a game template and in a SDK manner where it can integrate with your CRM, which is already there in their app. You really don't need to download an app or install an app, right? You simply have to create an integration into your app so that it is available as a next module.
Yeah, I think that that's something that
So
Salesforce already has in their lead management systems. But
right,
yeah, gamification is very important, because
exactly,
it allows people to release that stress, that
correct.
hormone, that happy hormone gets released, and you don't.
You pick the right right word, happy hormone, right? And I think
Yeah.
a product like Compass, right, or similar product, right, this is something which is not really require them to work on it, right? This is just like a nudge that keeps
Yeah.
coming, like a coach that sits on their app, right? So they really don't mind downloading it, which can keep reminding them of their performance, of their numbers, of their targets, and things like those. If somebody is telling them all the time, hey, you need to do this now, you need to do this now, no, nothing like it, right? So
Yeah,
I
I mean, regarding the feel good factor, I had a very beaten day. I had a very lousy day. I couldn't
yeah,
get even one insurance policy, but I was able to beat two people on the mobile app. All
exactly.
came.
Yeah.
Everybody wins. So yeah, from
True,
that
true,
point of
true. Yeah,
view,
yeah.
and from that point of view, like I said, when I measure the intangible benefits against the tangible benefits, yes, I think that
There are huge intangible
yeah,
benefits.
it's a very proactive approach towards having that connect with the human force that you have in your teams. So
Correct. And that is where I mentioned extrinsic and intrinsic motivators, right?
absolutely,
Both.
absolutely, because both
Yeah,
the parameters are different for different people.
exactly, exactly.
Some people get, internally motivated. They are very enthusiastic to achieve things, but some
Correct.
people have to be externally motivated and have to be told that, you know what, you are Captain Kirk. You know what, you are Iron Man today. So
True.
that gives
True.
them
That's so
the
true.
happy
Yes.
high. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so moving on to Ekta, who's our next?
Uh, so can we have now Mr. Mayank Sharma, who can
Thanks,
share some
Priyanka. Thanks for
insights?
your insight and questions. Those were
Yes,
really
Priyanka,
helpful.
thank you. Stay. We'll have some questions also again, because once you guys share your insights, definitely there would be few questions from the other joinees. Yeah, since it's a round table.
Sure.
So yes, Mr. Mayank, please over to you.
Hi, Mayank. How are you?
I'm good, Abhishek. First of all, thank you very much for explaining this subject so very well. And I believe it was very important and must be learning experience for all those who are not familiar with gamification.
Right.
And I believe this is going to be very important for banks and financial institution in future also. So far, selling these products was one-way communication, and I believe with the gamification, we can convert into a game, and that will be very very useful for those customers who are not very much familiar with banking terms and financial
Correct.
terms.
Correct.
So banks and NBFC, whosoever I believe are going to adopt this as a main strategy to promote their business and to explain the products to their existing customer, they are going to win this race. And as we all know that as a human, we like to be informed. So if a gamification technique is able to keep a customer involved and informed, then chances of that customer staying with the organization would also be higher. And if a customer stays with a financial organization for long, then it is also easy to sell different kind of products to the same customer.
Correct.
And as we all know that financial institutions and banks spend huge amount of money on brand recall and product awareness, cross sell, and preventing frauds within their system with their customers for fraudsters. So I believe this gamification would also be able to help. So can you throw some light on how this gamification can help in educating these customers, spreading, doing cross sell to existing customer base, and increase the product awareness to the customer base financial institutions have?
Yeah, so look at the processes, and what I'll do is I'll look at some of the techniques that we are already using, right? So for example, you keep sending SMS and links about newsletters and product links to the people in their email or over the SMS with the links, right? What about engaging them more on that, right? You talked about engagement, you talked about getting more in terms of feedback from them, right? So can we really say that, if I have read the product about the product details, can I answer some of the quizzes, some of the questions about it? And if I answer it correctly, I win something, right? This is also on the way, like if I'm super cool, if I'm able to answer those questions in very specific time, very small time, you give me a discount, a better policy, right? A policy which is really related, right? So I get a good discount. It pushes me to buy it,
Right, right.
right? So these are the things that are very simple techniques that can be used. Not only this, right, you can also become anonymous, and you can just launch a game where you can present their life cycle, where they would be able to play the game, and at each of these stages they would be able to understand at each stage what are the products required for their life, right? And for example, saving product, insurance product, mutual fund, whatever is required, and why they should be investing, and if they don't do it, then what happens, right? In a more game template, right? And then they unlock some other things, then they able to purchase it then and there, right? If the entire experience is seamless for them, then you are able to increase the benefit. You're able to increase your customer portfolio, your sales number over there, then and there, right? Again, sending the video, or letting them engage on a platform, on a common platform where they're able to play game, they're always continuously engaged with the brand. This also helps you for your brand recall, for a brand awareness. And also you can play on the quizzes, throw some of the things like, do you do transaction like this, or do you really read what do you say, anonymous message about some transaction, right? Like this, right? If you do this, then this happens. If I choose this, then I've been said that my money goes. If I choose it, then I see that my money remains, or more money gets added in future, right? So some of the game technique, which actually tells you a theft, right? A hacking that keeps happening nowadays, right? Using Google Pay or things like those, right? So if we can start creating quiz like that and start engaging customers and let them play on that, and then win virtually, right? You don't really need to give them money reward all the time. You can also give them badge, customers. So customers can also be like aware customer, right? So if you look at I think government of India has started doing that, right? If you are a taxpayer, right, they give you badges, right? What kind of taxpayer you are, right? Which I think, and I've seen a lot of people sharing that on their Facebook account, right? They feel good about it, right?
Right.
So why can't that be done in the banking industry also, right? If they are able to follow right kind of technique, right approach, if they have multiple ticks on their checklist, right? Okay, I'm a good portfolio customer. I don't click on random messages. I don't follow random follow random calls. I don't get trapped, things like those, and some of the standard things that keep happening, right? And that is a kind of quiz. Then you give me a badge, right? I feel good.
Yeah, that's right. So while talking to you, it was coming to, there was an idea which just clicked to my mind, and I feel if you implement it with some financial institution, that will also be very great. Say, for example, some institution has a customer who has availed a two-wheeler loan, and after some time, if we allow that customer to have an experience of driving a car with this gamification technique. So after that, it will be, I believe, very easy for a financial institution to sell a car loan also to the same customer.
Yes. And you can tell them to, why don't you promote yourself to from a scooter to a car, and
Yeah.
how easy you can get it, right? You can
So
show them how
that
easy you can get it.
that will be beneficial. And
Yes.
apart from that, banks are losing, individuals are losing thousands of crores of rupees every year in frauds, and banks are
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
doing a lot of activity and putting a lot of efforts in educating their customers that we should not share any kind of OTP or CVV with a customer, with
Correct. Correct.
anybody on phone call, even if individual on other side is claiming that he's a bank employee. So if gamification can help customers from the infant stage, when a customer joins to the banking system, it will be very easy to tell or teach a customer, and it will go deep down into the blood of the individual, that he will not share the OTP or CVV kind of critical details with anybody else on the phone. So I
And
believe
that is why,
gamification will also
yeah,
help in
and
that.
very true, sir. And that is why I said that you need to engage with the customer very early, right? And throughout his lifespan, right? At each life, you have to create a game plan for him, create a plan for him where you tell him pros and cons of certain activities that is going in the market, right? Social awareness is really important, right? And if you are able to do that social awareness and bring it in terms of gamified format, and he's getting educated with this, and also earning and feeling felicitated by earning by following those approaches, why not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. So thank you,
Thank
Mayank.
you,
Thank
Mr.
you for
Mayank.
sharing your valuable insights on this.
Yeah.
We can go to next case.
Yes, we can have Purnima Bushpala. She is the Vice President Business Risk Lead with Wells Fargo. Purnima and Abhishek, over to you.
Hi, Purnima. How are you?
Doing very well, Abhishek, and I'm really glad to meet you face to face through this session. And thanks to Brandix as well. No, I was just trying to think on your earlier conversation with Priyanka on tying a KPI to gamification.
Yeah.
Now, while you were sharing some of the examples, you briefly touched based on the risk and compliance and regulatory aspect, and some of your examples, most of your examples were focused on your front office or your customer, your actual customer, the real customer. Now, if I have to bring something on the back office scenario, this is where you see a lot of expense happening. Now, how do I implement? What is a business case for me to implement the gamification? One, I have a perspective. Second, I do have a question as well because I'm coming from a risk background.
Yeah.
So one, my perspective, if you look at your back office, basically they're driven by three different set of KPIs. Now, basically looking at your total cost of ownership, that's your expense.
Right.
and we need to keep a tap on that.
Right.
The other two KPIs could be your risk reduction measures.
Right.
Obviously, someone has spoken about fraud and the regulatory fines that you see. So if you look at your multinational bank, the recent case, actually, one of the studies shows that we paid close to $10.6 billion for a lot of AML, KYC, as well as your data privacy breaches. In fact, we ended up spending $80 million just for the
Wow.
GDPR privacy related spend.
Right.
Now, this is your tangible metric, right? So
Right.
if I have to align a KPI, a tangible metric, I'm spending so much of controls. One of the focus is also your looking at your control cost, right? So since
Correct.
I spoke about back office, total cost of ownership, I would invest either on hiring people from my outside. I have to train them on the process and procedures and rely upon them to execute the work. And the second thing is I have to have a system and an infrastructure, technology infrastructure to invest to avoid hiring. So what is cheaper thing for me? In certain cases, I will probably go and invest on people. In certain cases, I will probably do an ROI and then say I would want to invest on the technology infrastructure. Now,
Right.
in my view, I think coming from the gamification per se, when we see, from bringing in a risk perspective here, right? So there's a lot of education and awareness that is involved, right from the board to a senior executive leadership to a process management to a ground level leader and onto to the front end team members as well. So we see a lot of controls failing, one, not just because of the systems, but because they're not aware about the policies. They're not aware about what should be the next step to be taken, because in certain cases it's all judgment based. So I would say, your control cost could be tangible. So if I have to spread it across 4 quarters, implement a gamification in a lending process, in a back office, teaching them how the underwriting does, credit life cycle as does,
True.
is doing, right? So, and then measure number of errors that happen towards the end of the year in a span of 12 years, and then
Right.
see number of risks that have been mitigated. Maybe that could be a measurable KPI in my mind.
Correct.
The second thing that I would also wanted to talk about is intangible, like say Priyanka and other people were talking about intrinsic, behavior. And I think I see that, and I have my own experience where we wanted to drive a lot of productivity. We need to clear a backlog. I'm just giving you a real-time example. We really need to motivate people to come into the office, spend extra 2 hours to clear the backlog. Now, why would in any scenario, somebody asking me to give away my 2 hours of my personal time without being paid, I'm not motivated for it. So I think gamification is a great example. So we create an IPL kind of a scenario, created a leaderboard, scorecard, paid
Right.
up, man of the match. So we came up with a theme, but it's all manual in nature. So we saw there is a team spirit, people were enjoying and they were recognized. And I think if I bring in gamification, like say I don't know about Compass, I need to study a little bit, but I think this is a great example where I can bring in, where the team member team member experience and the motivation has increased. And the other area that I'm also thinking about is your new hire experience, right? So other thing intangible is people, a lot of companies invest on giving you a good team member experience, especially in the multinational banks. We
Yeah.
want to make sure that we retain the talent, we give them the best of the best experience. So it's, it's very important for the first 1 to 2 years, when you have to train the team, give them a good knowledge transfer. So new hire onboarding. So we invest a lot in learning and development training. So I think that's another area where your gamification can be invested. We can look at. So these are a couple of things that I was thinking. One from the risk perspective, we need to have a sound risk management, control costs. These could be some of your KPIs. Another thing could be your team member experience. But my question to you, Abhishek, is while you're building and I think you're scaling it up,
Mhm.
um, they we need to look at the underlying mechanics of it.
Right.
So what is a risk that a gamification can pose? Because you are exposing it to too many people. It can drive the behavior in a positive side, while it can also drive the behavior in negative side. Right? You're creating competition. So
Right.
what is a risk that you see when you implement gamification in a large scale?
Right. So, and just to clarify, so basically Compass and we as a Zozo Day, we work most on the B2B side. That means not on the customer side, on the employee side itself, right? So all of our product, and we are a B2B SaaS startup, right? So a SaaS company. So so all of these things that you said, right? For example, plugging your KPIs from various data systems, that is your total cost of ownership, risk reduction, your number of errors reduction, right? Now these are all these parameters that you could really track from the systems, from independent systems. You can plug in these independent databases, data sources to a independent system like us, right? And then you can launch your campaigns, launch your program, and then break these programs into milestone. Now coming to a very important question, like what happens if it goes into the negative side of it? And
Yeah.
that is where the aspect of gamification comes into, right? For example, what we have seen that if you launch a traditional incentive program, let's say on a leaderboard and this thing, right? Your aim would be, let's say you break a target into 4 parts in a month, right? Let's say milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4, right? Now one way is that you would say that on a leaderboard, the top 3 of the leaderboard, I would give certain incentive or certain award, right? The other way of looking at it is like, if you cross your milestone 1, right, then you get this. If you cross milestone 2, then you get this. If you cross milestone 3, then you get this. And if you cross milestone 4, then you get all of it, right? So at every point of him, even a lower performer guy is getting something, but he's motivated to do better than that what he's doing, right? So game mechanics can be used in a positive way and in a negative way, right? For example, if you're just rewarding your top performers all the time, right? So all the time they would be, in the hunt of it, and they would be winning it, right? But how? So the use of gamification, where we help people, where we help organization, that can you also launch alternate program for a lower performance side people, where they get motivated. For example, for a person of higher performance, right? It could be get higher target on higher. But for a lower percentage, you don't have to say that, okay, you don't get higher target, then no, you earn nothing. You can say that, okay, you get this lesser target, right? And you earn less, but you have an option to earn more, right? In a way, you are motivating them to do more, and you're not demotivating them by not giving them anything. You're giving them something.
Yeah. Okay. So do you see if the mechanics is not applied? Yeah, one is the behavior.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I think we have to maybe experiment a little bit better to see what
Exactly.
else can.
So mechanics and dynamics are there to be used, but how do you use is most important.
Exactly. Where do you implement? And
yeah, where do you implement it? Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Purnima. Thanks for your valuable insight.
Thank you, Purnima. Abhishek, we have Dr. G. Ramesh Kumar. He's a Chief Business Officer with Mangal Credit and FinCorp. So he would be also sharing some great insights. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Ekta ji. Namaste to all. Thank you so much, Abhishek ji, for your valuable insights.
Welcome, Ramesh ji.
Yeah. So basically, I was hearing all the discussions till now, and I think your presentation was well articulated about sharing about the essence of gamification. I have a couple of insights which I'd like to make. We've been talking about the millennial era and the millennial age.
पैशनेटली हो थोड़ा दूसरा कोई वर्ड यूज कर ले.
Sorry, I would request everybody to please be on mute when the people are sharing their insights.
Yeah, so I was just sharing a couple of study pertaining to millennials. We're expecting by 2025, 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials. And
Right.
These are millennials who have been accustomed the way of learning all these years through games and video games and different alternative tools. Now these millennials, when they come into the corporate, either as a employee or a staff in the BFSI industry or as a customer, of course, when I talk about BFSI, I think finance is not a great subject for all of them. Though people do not understand it well, it's very complicated, unlike professionals from the BFSI industry. So they need to be given that kind of insights by making it very interesting and giving them that, engaging them to understand what is finance all about. So whether it is a product which you're offering in terms of insurance, mutual fund, or loans per se, gaming will act as a very important tool, and every other BFS industry today is using this as a very serious product. And as Abhishek ji mentioned about a couple of organizations who are already instituted this. I have heard about a company, BBVA from Spain. I think you also mentioned about it. They had as a leading digital bank. They have introduced a kind of app, and they have also looked at gamers to come and share their thoughts as to make how they can make it more interesting and engaging. Yeah, of course, we always talk about the roots and the fruits. So the root is the employees in the organization, and fruit is of course the form of customers who come in. So for both of them, I think this is a very important tool. Going forward, the industry is growing at a rate of 32%. We are seeing a gaming industry to touch around $40 billion by 2024. That's something which I'm looking into, and I think every other company will incorporate this gaming tools. It's all about how you make it more thrilling, the experience of just not on the application, but also making it more lively, so that everybody wants to get motivated, everyone wants to be driven, unlike a monotonous way of working. So I think this is industry to be it, and companies like Xoxo will definitely add a lot of value to the organizations in the BFS industry. All the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In fact, and right point picked up Ramesh ji. I think we also had a discussion with author of the book called Gamify, and you must all just note it down, Brian Burke. And we actually showed our product to him, and we have also had some of the gamers just to make sure that the UI UX experience looks into that thing, and we are able to tap that thing, right? So we are doing that, but we showed to the product, and he was really glad, and he really said that glad you guys are actually putting it in production and using it some of the practical uses. So I think your perspective is really in right direction. Yes, BBVA has been a pioneer, Spanish company that has been a pioneer in this side, and I think briefly talked about it. Right? And taking a cue from such stuff, what we have done is we've collated such game templates, and that can suit various aspects, and we can launch those game plans at various point of time, which could be like on onboarding, training, letting them know about each other thing in a much more gamified fashion, things like those, right? So yeah, very well articulated, Ramesh ji. I think gamification is the way going further, and this is going to simplify a lot of process in future.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Yeah. So we have Mr. Subhajit, who can share his insights. Mukhopadhyay from Bandhan Bank, DVP IT Strategy and Enterprise Architect.
Hi, Mr. Subhajit. Welcome. How are you?
I think we lost him. So Abhishek, you can open the floor for discussion. We have great insights from all the thought leaders over here. So you can we can have the questions from the audiences or any insights flowing in. So over to you, Abhishek.
Yeah. So and great insights that we have covered, and we will also look into it. The more the concern was more into like the adoption, right? That people whether the people want to implement another app, or so my question to the audience is, if a app that pays you back, right, for doing certain activity, will it be good enough to do you think it will be a good enough motivator for person to install that app, both in terms of process, in terms of payback? And Priyanka, question to you, if you can answer, because you face that. So my question is, let's say
I was trying to make an attempt. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So see, Abhishek, see, there is no straight answer to this question,
right,
first of all. And what I feel is that we at a certain level, where we are operating, where we are handling P&Ls, where we are responsible enough to, work on the balance scorecards of our teams, distribute the various KPIs. People are very much streamlined, and they know exactly what they want to achieve. Having said so, I think there would be a resistance, but I feel more than sales perspective or a human perspective, I think customer engagement or operational benefits from gamification would be much larger. So for example, I'll give you the use cases which I have thought in my mind for implementing. The first use case that came to my mind is currently I'm preparing a dashboard. I have asked my team to publish the concept, the contests that we run, the results that are happening, make marketing collaterals around it, and tell the people that, you know, this is where you are placed, this is how the contest is moving, and so on and so forth. The second disconnect that I find in this entire journey is when the incentive redemption comes into picture. So when I was going through the demo of Compass, this was one of the things that caught my eye, that the incentive redemption is also automatic. It is on the system.
Yes.
I don't have to, you know, kind of wait for the operations and finance to take approval from me and then distribute the Amazon coupons or big basket coupons to the salespeople and so on and so forth. It automatically streamlines to your mobile app. You can see it as a badge or a, you know, cash winner or a coupon winner, and it seems all very seamless integration.
True.
So it kind of helps. So this is one use case that I think of. Yes. And the second use case that I could think, which is a very big use case for me, is education of partners through gamification. So for example, if I tell my partner that if you complete AML, mis-selling and code of conduct training or a specific health related product training, I'm going to give you these many points. And as an on, you finish the trainings, you educate yourself more, I'll give you more points, which can be cash redeemable or it can be any other incentive that can be redeemed. So this is the second use case. The third use case is when I tell my force, the sales team, that, you know what, I need this data point for my analytics. And apparently when we have designed the systems, whether it is SAP, whether it is CRM, some of the fields are not mandatory to be captured. So when there is extra incentive to collect that data point, probably I'll actually answer a two-sword, you know, problem, wherein I'll get my data and I'll keep my Salesforce happy about it. Because when you ask somebody to, you know, fill that extra field, it becomes a little cumbersome. So when you are incentivizing them to put that extra field or effort, probably you're training them for that good behavior.
True.
So yeah, these are the use cases that I feel that could be very helpful in any industry. Leave about insurance, BFSI, or any industry for that matter of fact. I mean, gamification is a very, very beautiful use case in FMCG industry. If you see Marico, sorry. So I was talking to some of the people a year back, and they were telling me that, you know what, we are going to introduce gamification for connecting our sales power to the remotest distributor, the small mom and pop or the kirana stores that you find in villages or, you know, very outlocated locations. So I said that, how are you going to connect it? So what they told me was, we are going to assign that area to that sales manager, and then that it becomes their levels. Level 1, that you have, you know, kind of reached your milestone with this area. Level 2, you are going into the another area. So I thought that this is a very interesting use case wherein FMCG is very difficult on ground, especially sales and marketing. So yeah, this is what I feel. Yeah.
Great insights, Priyanka. I think, and thanks for the kind words on Compass. We should really talk on that when we see what we can do for you. Right. So
soon, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So yeah, I mean, Mayank, Purnima, any thoughts on, like, if the incentivizing them to for adoption, will that work? Will it help them to download an app, and will that serve the purpose for an organization like you?
I believe yes. If even if it is a small reward, I think people are going to download the application and they are going to use it. We have seen that in case of an organization like Paytm or MobiKwik kind of, where we have seen that for a small payment we get a small cashback, and then we have seen these applications in almost every second mobile phone. So I don't think I strongly feel that if we will offer these small reward points or something small type of reward on using your application or using this gamification techniques. So one side people will learn as we discussed, and other side the small rewards they will definitely attract them, and especially young people, as we were discussing that we need to engage young people from the very initial days of their banking and finance days. So if we'll offer them small rewards, something, some badge or something like that, they will definitely come download the application, will use it.
Great. Great.
And that is true, but what happens in a big banks, you already have something, rewards and recognition platforms or something like points existing. So your challenge would be, how would you make your product more attractive,
Integrate with them.
lucrative,
Yeah. Okay.
existing one within the companies? So that's one. And the second thing, see, I do see, I mean, as an insider, sometimes you have visibility to certain things that you could do better.
Correct.
Yeah, but to your point, incentivizing, it's a common motivation. I mean, you incentivize people through money, monetary, non-monetary. People will work for you. I mean, they will be driving results for you. There'll be outcomes. So there's no question about it. But the challenge that I see is, how would you make your product better than something which is already existing within the companies, bigger banks especially?
Yeah. So is the question about making it better, or the question is making it more effective?
When I say
Better as
yeah,
in,
you better in the sense when you say effective, yes. Sometimes it's the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, effective is the right word.
yeah,
And you might want to think about how this can be integrated within
exactly.
the existing policy, procedures,
True.
or tools, the infrastructure framework which has already been set up. So breaking that barrier and entering into the big established banks, I would see a little bit of challenge. But I would say, coming to your product, your entire thought process, product development, I think there's a lot to do. And in fact, large banks can also benefit some, with gamification. If you can tie this with a good tangible, like say your regulatory fines,
Right.
and then show the case around, how this could reduce the cost, control cost
Right.
overall. I would see that as a, a starting point for you guys.
Right. Right. And rightly said. I think we also have a product called employee engagement, which is a reward and recognition product, and which is very different from incentive. So earlier we also thought we would not read a product like Compass, but then we realized that people are looking more and more KPI oriented, right? And earlier we picked
Yes.
about it, right? So they want to attach rewards and any kind of awarding with the KPIs, right? They just don't want to say that, okay, hey, this guy feels, give the award, right? They want a tangible way of measuring the reward. Why is this guy getting that reward, right? And from there it turns out into incentive, and incentive gets into everything, right? So effectively, RNR and Hall of Fame and the town halls, they would stay there, right? But they would get integrated with the solution like this, which is able to integrate with your data sources, transactional data sources, right? So where you're capturing a lot of transactional data, and then calculating on top of that transaction data, and then getting a gamified output from that, and then projecting into your RNR platform. That's how I
Yeah.
feel.
So if we talk about the solution, Abhishek, so sorry. What I'm trying to say is find a business objective at the top
Yes,
level. So what are we saying? Incentivize. This is great. We're talking about team member. But what is that driving? What are the outcomes?
correct.
Is it driving a business objective, enterprise level objective? So if you understand the enterprise objective, business objective, and then try and say that, this is, if you implement this, these are your tangible outcomes, to your point, then convert that objectives into KPIs, and then implement gamification, then drive it for implement, and then drive it for a certain period of time, then you will see that outcome, and then you will say it's a successful implementation.
That's so
So
true. Yeah, that's so
yeah,
true. I
so
think
I think for us to bring that understanding, that bigger picture, the bigger enterprise objective, and tying the KPI. I mean, we spoke about KPIs, but KPIs are also tied to a bigger ocean goals.
correct. There are various metrics to related to those KPIs, and we have
Yeah.
to look into those metrics, and you are really right into that. Right. Great. So, any other challenges anyone would want to share on this and gamification? If you would have planned to implement, or you would have already tried to implement and face some challenges doing it, we can definitely discuss. If anyone wants to share the insight, that will be really good way to go about it.
Yes, please. We can have any questions from the audiences if we have, or any insights to be shared.
Yeah, so if any question from the audience, you can either ask or you can also type in chat. So
Chat box, yeah.
yeah, so would be able to answer that. Great. I think Ikta, what we'll do is we'll also leave some mail, and I can drop my mail ID. Uh, and anyone wants to reach out to
Yes.
me specifically, please reach out to me for any kind of specific questions related to gamification in your segment, in your sector, and I'd be happy to answer and happy to take it up offline also. Right.
Yes.
So please do share your questions over email. I would be happy to answer that.
So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So any
over to you, Ekta.
closing note? Yeah. Any
Yeah.
closing note, Abhishek, from your end, or from any speaker's end as well? Welcome for that. So we have a question actually just popped up from Akash Kumar. Can you please share the contact details? Okay, for the demo, it's for the demo. We are in a process of gamification in BFL, and that would be helpful. So Akash, Abhishek has already shared his email ID, and my team will get in touch with him, Abhishek, and connect with you.
Great.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be done.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were at the closing note, Abhishek. So anybody?
Yeah. So I think first, any one of you, if you want to share some notes, like Priyanka, Purnima, Mayank,
Dr. Ramesh, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Ramesh, if you want to share anything as a closing note, please do let me know. Or please go about it. I mean,
It was a wonderful
Yeah.
session, and I would like to thank you for organizing this, Ekta and Abhishek, both of you.
thank you.
And I believe people who have attended this meeting, they must have learned a lot about gamification in the finance and BFSI sector. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
hi.
Max.
Hi, this is Dr. G. Ramesh Kumar. I should first of all appreciate Ekta ji and the entire team, the Brain Analytics, for having invited me and the entire panel here. And it has been a wonderful session. Of course, Abhishek ji's insights and the presentation was well articulated. And I believe this is a topic which every other organization, not just restrict to only BFSI, but across all the industry, will have to engage and adopt going forward. And the session this should reach the last mile throughout the country, and which should definitely add efficiency in work for the employees, and of course customer delight and satisfaction for the larger audience there whom we are looking into to onboard as customers and clients. So it's the different way of the new era of reaching out to the customer and enhancing your top line and the bottom line. Of course, that's what end of the day every organization would want to, with keeping all the other tools and making everyone charged, well, keeping everyone motivated and thrilled. Thank you so much for that. That's what from my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. G. Ramesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramesh ji.
Okay. So I think I can conclude, Abhishek. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah. So thank
So
you,
to
Ekta,
con
first. I just want
sorry.
to thank you and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my insights on what we have been doing. And I think I look forward to talk to almost all of you at some point of
Yes.
time this year, right? And share my experience through the product and what we have been doing. And we'll be looking forward to that interesting aspect. Yeah,
Great, great.
over to
Thank you
you,
so
Ekta.
much, Abhishek. Yeah, thank you so much, Abhishek. So to conclude, I would like to thank all our thought leaders over here, Abhishek, Dr. G. Ramesh, Purnima, Priyanka, Mr. Mayank. Though Mr. Sojit left, but still I would like him to thank. He was there for a long time, but he got an urgent call, so he had to leave. He just messaged me, so that's fine. So thank you all for your expert insights on gamification and how gamification has offered the greatest potential value in the realm of customer engagement. That's what we have learned. It helps us to understand how gamification today is a major tool in making the user experience more valuable, engaging, and is now growing, driven by the customer behavior and digital capabilities. So to conclude, I would like to thank our partners Usode and Abhishek for coming and sharing great insights on gamification, and all our audiences and thought leaders for taking out your precious time and being here. I hope you all had a great session interacting and sharing your insights. We shall be updating the video link on a website shortly, and also would be sharing the feedback form, which would mention one-on-one brainstorm meet with Zozo Day. So you can mention your interest there and we can connect you with the Abhishek. So kindly follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for our future events and webinars. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for.
Thank you. All the best, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ekta. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ekta.
Thank you, everyone.